Okay, so now we're in the new unit, taxonomy. This is the branch of biology that deals with classification and naming of living things. The earliest classification system was Aristotle. Okay, as you can see, it was a long time ago. Back then, it was very simple. He divided organisms into two groups, plants and animals, and then divided them into habitat. Throughout time, though, we realized this was an outdated system. Once we had more of an understanding of evolutionary relationships, we started to place organisms that evolved similarly together. So we give Carolus Linnaeus the credit as the founding father of modern taxonomy. So this was his lifespan, the 1700s. He looked at physical and structural similarities to group organisms. His taxon were all these different categories. Each taxa had a name. Okay, usually we use Latin words, and they go from general to specific. So you're going to have to know the taxon, the different categories. Domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So you're going to want to practice saying that. Domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. We have a little mnemonic device to help you remember it. So in your binders, on your notes, I would like you to write dashing, King, Philip, came over for grape soda. Dashing King Philip came over for grape soda. Say that one again a couple times. Dashing King Philip came over for grape soda. Dashing King Philip came over for grape soda. So this little trick, the first letter, helps you to remember. D is for the taxa domain. K, kingdom. P, phylum. C, class. O, order. F, family. G, genus. S, species. Now, every time we go to say an organism, we're not going to list the domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species names. We're going to list the last two, the most specific taxa categories. This is called a scientific name or binomial nomenclature. This is a two-word naming system. Two-word naming system. Now, there are rules. You have to remember the rules. There will be no partial credit. First rule, list the genus first and capitalize the first letter. So you have to capitalize it, okay? Number two, list the species second and lowercase it. So you want to make sure it's lowercase. So the genus comes first, uppercase, species second, lowercase. Then you're going to underline or put it in italics. This is an example of what humans are. We are Homo for the genus, sapien for the species. So in this example, we followed the rules. Uppercase H, lowercase s. We underlined it. If you're handwriting, you're doing a lab or the Regents in your handwriting, you have to do the underline. If you're working on a computer, you can put italics. We've all done this where you would highlight it, and in the toolbar, click the I. It's like, this is what the letters look like. They're slanted sideways. So you either need to underline it or put it in italics. When we refer to the common name is what we use like in everyday life, all right? So let me show you some common names, and you're used to calling that a lion, but technically the scientific name is Panthera leo. You can use the common name, which is fine. Jaguar, Panthera onca, and these little lines should be like right under it. Panthera pardus, the leopard. The tiger, Panthera tigris. Here's a couple other examples in the notes. This is showing the seahorse, jellyfish. You can see the cat. And here is a coyote versus a gray wolf. okay? So there's the eukarya. That's the domain. The kingdom is Animalia, and you're used to saying animals, but they use Latin. Chordata, that means we have a spinal cord if you're in this phylum. The class Mammalia, you're used to hearing it in called mammals. Carnivora, that's carnivore, the order. The family is Canidae. And Canis is the genus. The species is how they would differ. So these are very closely related. All the way down to species, they change. Here's another example. So this would be all of our categories. Okay, you can see, go right through it. There's a chimp and a house cat. When we look at the phylogeny, that's the evolutionary history of a species or a group of organisms. Evolutionary history of organisms. The theory of evolution, which we'll spend a whole unit on later in the year, but it's when new species arise from over long periods of time from pre-existing species. So we're going to use this when we go to name the organisms and classify them. And we'll get in the rest of the notes when we get to part 2 classification video.